Yo, what up, YouTube gang? I'm Jay Pats, and we're back again this week. You know what we're gonna be doing? It's gonna be breaking down a grimy boom bap beat that we made. I'm gonna just show you a preview of the beat, and let's get right into it. So kind of what really set this beat off for me was the strings that I started with, because I feel like strings just kind of set that emotional, sad, dark vibe. So that's exactly what I try to achieve with these, and this is what I did. It's really just two notes playing, and then it's got kind of like a turnaround note, and it kind of just brings it home at the end. 4-bar loop, real simple. That really just kind of dictated the whole move for the beat, so I already knew which way I wanted to go with this, which was like just dark and grimy. I knew I wanted some pianos, so I went to arcade and I found these little piano notes, and I just put some delay on them and made them sound really dope. So this is what they sound like. So basically, on the first part, playing an octave lower, and then the second part, playing an octave up. And that just adds a little bit of variation, so it's not the same thing the whole time. Then, yeah, just an eighth note delay on their stock Ableton plugin. Yeah, and then there's basically three other sounds that I have that are from arcade, and I hear people always saying like bad stuff about arcade and splice or whatever, or just like the sounds are overused, but I really like using those platforms more for like sprinkles for my beat and not like the main part. Like I've heard melodies that are on big songs on there, but like if you just take little sprinkles here and there, you can't even tell that it's from arcade, and if you use it right and manipulate it correctly, it can be a really dope addition to your beats and an easy way to find like cool textures and sounds. So that was basically my thought process with all these little sounds from arcade that I added. Next, I added this synth string sound. This was kind of had like a texture too. So yeah, basically just playing the close notes of the scale and then adding another note in there. I wouldn't really call it a chord, but just like a tension type of vibe. And what was cool about the synth sound is that it had a dope tail to it. So not only was it like the strings, it had that like atmospheric tail, which I really liked about it. And I added these horns from arcade. They just sounded epic. Then I added this texture from arcade. Yeah, super ill. Like I was saying, it's just using these sounds from arcade to kind of create an atmosphere and environment instead of using them as like the main sound. When used in the right place, they can be super dope. The other texture from arcade. Like I've mentioned before in other videos, when you're using some of these sounds, maybe not having them all play at the same time. So like you could see how this one goes here, but then this one, yeah, starts at the same time, but the second loudest sound comes in like after the one. Here you can see it's not even playing in the beginning, and then it's like fading in slowly. And then you can see we have like a different sound here and a different sound here. Putting all these sounds in different places instead of stacking them all on one really makes a huge difference with your melodies, atmospheres, just overall vibe of any samples you're trying to make. So keep that in mind as well. This is a synth sound that I got from CZV. Just playing a little strum up the scale. And then I have this like sound effect also from CZV synth. It kind of just didn't sound like a turnaround, but the sound effect just helped the melody turn around in a weird way, I guess. So I'll show you how that sounds. It's just one note. And then I found this accent from a one-shot kit. And I felt like that was just dope to put at the end of the melody. So again, it kind of just feels like it's turning around and you're introducing something new at the end of the phrase. That's really it for the melody sample part of the beat. So I'll play the whole melody together just so you can hear how that sounds, and then we'll move on to the drums. And then for the drums, there's actually quite a few more drum sounds than I usually use in a beat, but yeah, still pretty straightforward. So let's just get into that. So first I started with this kick pattern. Simple, like I always say. The reason I like, specifically for this beat, I guess, keeping the kick pattern simple is because I just want this beat to be really easy to rap on. And sometimes if you add like too many kicks, then it can kind of get in the way of the bounce or just mess the rapper up. That's why I kept the drum so simple on this in terms of patterns. Next, we got the snare pattern. This little thing right here just helped the melody move a little bit more without doing too much. Keep that in mind when you are doing simple patterns. Maybe you have like one part that keeps the bounce, but it makes it feel like something different is happening, but not too drastic. I feel like that's what separates like really great producers and just average ones or just good ones, is they know how to do minimalist or simple things well. Then I added these hats. You can see they're not perfectly on the grid, and then the velocities are a little varying. Just two different hats, added a dope bounce. Then just this ride cymbal on the one. So just to make the main snare feel a little bit different, there's this triangle layered on there, which I think was a dope layer. And it's something you can't hear much in the mix, but it does make a difference being there, because I'll show you why. Since that's only happening on this main snare, it breaks up this little filler snare to make it not feel like it's the same snare hitting the whole time, if that makes sense, with the same layer just playing. Then I added this open hat and this little chant. I added two chants on this beat. And then this other chant. They also pretty low in the mix, but they add like a cool bounce and texture to the drums, so that's why I did that. Really just like random sounds, but sometimes those random things can add dope textures. And then I got this cymbal. Again, you can see like cutting out a lot of the highs and super low in the mix, just more texture with this beat. And I got this little rattle. That was cool, and then I just chucked reverb on it. So this is how the drums sound right now, which is cool, but I felt like it wasn't enough movement for them and they just felt a little stiff still. I actually added this drum break in there, but like filtered out all the lows on it, and it just added so much movement to it. So check this out. Let me play it without it again. That's cool, but when you add it in, so really just gives it that live feel, like a drum is playing, and just like a dope groove to the drums. The last part of the drums was this fill. That was just cool to switch things up every now and then. It doesn't come in often, as you could see. There's only 3 of them throughout the whole beat. With those types of sounds, I feel like you don't want to overdo them too much. So just placing them tastefully, I think, is the key. The last thing that we added onto this beat was really just an 808, and it is such a simple pattern. Just hitting D the whole time, and then it goes up an octave. So then the only variation I have in the 808 is this part that could either be like a pre-hook or just the first part of the hook, and I made the 808 go up an octave, and then it's just playing more notes. So here's how that sounds. And yeah, that was cool because it helped the beat kind of open up and just have a little bit of variation, just so that this low 808 note wasn't just playing the whole time, because it really is so simple. Again, just doing things tastefully but not overdoing it, you know? So doing it right without overdoing it is, I think, the key. And in the intro, all I really have is this like subway sound, and I think it just added like a dope texture to the beginning. And sometimes when you put like cool textures into your beat, it gives it a feeling of like being somewhere instead of it just being like plain and simple. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I think about it. Yeah, and then this is how the beat sounds when you bring it all together. So yeah, like always, mad simple. It's just all about having a space for every sound and not overdoing it. Thank you for checking out this video. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, because it really just helps out my channel. Kind of just keeps me motivated to continue making videos for you guys and sharing my knowledge. So thanks for tapping in. I'm Jay Pats. Peace.